Hello, and welcome to the first Scratch tutorial from ZB Teens. We are at scratch.mit.edu, and we're going to click on the Create tab here. Coding a game today based on what you suggested on Instagram. Now you guys answered the poll to see where our game should be set. So I'm going to go down to our bottom right corner here and click on Choose a Backdrop. It's going to take me to all of my options, and I can go up to the search bar there and search your choice, which was jungle. And they have a nice option for me there, so I'm going to go ahead and make that our backdrop. You guys voted, and you said that you would prefer that our protagonist be a human. So I'm going to go ahead and delete Scratchy Cat, and we're going to go to where it says Choose a Sprite, and then we're going to be able to browse. There's a category that's people, and I'm going to look through the people options, and I think this elf girl looks the most like she would fit in the jungle. I'm able to resize her in the settings under the preview display. Every script you ever do is going to start with the button under events that says when green flag clicked. And then I'm going to code a starting position for the elf. You can read the coordinates that she's already in under the display, and if those are the coordinates that you want her to start in, then those are the coordinates you're going to type in. And if you feel I'm going too fast, feel free to pause or rewind, take it at your own pace, watch the video more than once. I also want to make sure that she's facing the right direction every time we restart the game, so I'm going to type in 90 degrees. And you'll see more about why that's important as we progress. Now for the fun stuff, we get to start coding her controls. And we will use the forever loop to make sure that the commands stay the same throughout the entire game. We'll use the if-then control to code our keystrokes. We want to put it into the script 4 times because we're going to be using our 4 arrow keys as controls. Our key options are in the Sensing tab in blue, and we want to drag and drop the key pressed option into all 4 of the little trapezoids there. You'll see an option on the drop-down menu for all 4 of the arrow keys, and you'll see the point in direction command under motion, and that's what you're going to use to coordinate with the keys. See, you can adjust the angle, and the arrow in the little picture there will match the arrow of the key that it's controlling. So it'll say if right key pressed, point in direction 90 degrees, and so on and so forth. Press the green flag and give it a little try, but I don't want her to ever be upside down, so I'm going to go into costumes and play around a little bit. Costumes feature is mostly for animation, and since we're not going to go too crazy with that, I'm deleting most of the options. We want to click on convert to bitmap to turn her into a one-piece figure. Then we're going to duplicate her and start flipping her around to see what position works best. We're only going to use this position for when she's walking from right to left, so we need to take into account what position she's going to be in when she is negative 90 degrees. We're going to assign a costume to every single keystroke. Most of them are going to be Elf A though. Only the left arrow is going to be the modified costume, which is Elf A2. Every keystroke still has to have one, or else she'll never switch back once she's switched. So now our girl can turn in 2 directions. So we're going to make her able to walk now. Under motion, you'll choose move 10 steps, and you'll put that in each of the keystroke loops. Look how satisfying that is. You guys voted for the goal of this game to be escaping a maze, so we're going to go to choose a sprite and then pick paint to create our maze. Since I'm designing this sprite from scratch, I'm going to have to name it myself. I'm going to write maze and then start playing around with the lines to figure out what pops the best against the jungle backdrop. That thin black default isn't going to cut it, so I'm going to make it a 15 point thickness and nice lime green color. Green is a very jungly color, so maybe we can pretend it's vines or something. Then you can just start making lines. There really aren't any rules. Play around with it, trial and error, see what works for you. Just make sure that the rows are big enough for your character to get through. My elf is struggling a little bit, but that's okay. I can resize her and just make her a little bit smaller. That's one of the great things about working in Scratch, is that you can always go back and adjust things as you go. Look at that, that's a lot better. We're going to use the if-then command back in the elf script. Under sensing, we're going to pick the trapezoid that says when touching, and we're going to pick maze. This is going to make it so she can't go through walls. And we're going to pick steps under motion again, but this time we want it to be the exact opposite of what she normally moves. We'll type in -10 because when she's walking she moves 10 steps. So when we duplicate it and put one of these commands into each of the keystroke loops, if she touches the walls of the maze going in any direction, it'll cancel out the regular steps and she will stop moving. And as you can see, now the maze is behaving as a maze should. I'm going to go ahead and put some bananas at the end of the maze so that there is an indicator of when she finishes successfully. If she doesn't have another sprite to interact with at the end of the maze, then the game will never stop because the script won't know that she has finished successfully. So I'll code some scripts for the nanas. Always start with the green flag and the forever loop so that the commands remain consistent. If then, if it's touching the elf, and then I'm going to say something encouraging. You did it! Then I'm going to go under control and choose stop all so that we know we're done with the game. But I'm not really satisfied with her running through the bananas, so I'm going to make the bananas disappear. Under looks, I'm going to pick hide, and I'm going to put show right under the green flag just to make sure that the bananas will reappear every time we start again. It looks like I messed up there because when I hide the bananas, they don't say encouraging things to me. So in the banana script, I'm keeping the show and the hide, and I'm going to delay the stop all. And then in my own script, I'm going to add text for when I touch the bananas, and I'll say, I did it, so that the elf is the one talking. Green flag, forever loop, if then, we're going to say if he's touching the bananas, go to looks, say, I did it, for 2 seconds, and now, there we go. Oh no. I accidentally delayed the stop all for too long, but that's okay because I can add it in after I speak as well. So now we're in the jungle, we're after those bananas, so it only makes sense that our 12 little enemies would be monkeys. And I'll obviously have to resize them because we have to fit 12 of them on the screen. I'm going to write the script for just one of the little guys to begin with and then just duplicate him so that we have 12. We know we want it to be game over if the elf runs into a monkey. So we'll say if he's touching the elf, then stop all. There was a lot of trial and error involved, but I decided that the monkeys were just going to glide about the maze instead of walking through it like our elf does. So I'm coding a simple repetitive sequence, a glide motion, and a weight control, and then I'm going to pick randomized coordinates for them to glide to, but I'm going to make sure that those coordinates are in between where the edges of the maze are. Just drag the monkey into one of the corners, and then in the display you can see what the coordinates of each corner are. I'm going to have them glide for 4 seconds each time instead of 1 second, so that they're not moving too fast. And then I'm going to right click and duplicate until I have 12 monkeys. You can watch them glide here, but they won't glide again till the end of the video because I filmed this a little bit out of order. My original monkeys were a lot more twitchy. Finally, I realized I still wasn't satisfied with the way my elf was moving, so I'm going to play around with the costume again. The game is just easier if she stays upright when she's moving upwards and downwards instead of going all horizontal, so I'm going to flip her around, rotate her. I'm going to use the preview as a guide to figure out. The challenge is that she's pointing 0 degrees when she goes up and 180 degrees when she goes down. And the costume's set for when she's at 90 degrees. So what the costume looks like when we're working on the costume isn't necessarily what it's going to look like when the commands are actually being carried out. So that's why it's a little bit of trial and error. In a nutshell, I just assigned the up and down keys their own costumes, where before everything was in costume A. And finally, it's time to set the tone with a little bit of mood music. We can do this under any of the sprite scripts. In the sound tab, there's the little button to choose a sound. And I'm going to try a couple different. That one's not going to work for me. You guys wanted ominous, so I think I found one. I hope that's ominous enough for your dark souls. And you'll find it in the sound category. Be able to pop it into the script and it'll play when the game plays. Up at the top of the screen, you'll be able to click on the project page. You'll be able to type in instructions, find the link that you can share with your friends, and finally, this is where you can play your completed games. See, my monkeys are gliding again. Some movie magic there. Thank you for watching this tutorial. Don't forget to follow ZB Teens on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.